If you're thinking about getting a gundog for the first time, this video is for you. I'm ranking 10 of the most popular gundog breeds and one wildcard purely on how suitable they are for a first time dog owner. Let's see how they stack up. Before we get into it, here's what I'm basing the ratings on. I'm going to be talking about energy, trainability, common issues and sensitivity, drive level, and pet home suitability. Just to be clear, we're talking working line dogs here, not the show type, but I will mention them where they are relevant. Okay, let's get into it. First up, we have the Irish Setter. Very majestic, picturesque. You commonly see these dogs on a lot of the old sort of oily paintings that you see in a lot of art galleries or in like antique shops and things like that, because they are a very historic breed. Now, don't let their looks deceive you. Although they are very majestic, they can also be very high energy. Their trainability isn't all that great. They often can be quite stubborn and they do require a very experienced handler. I actually find them to be quite sensitive. They can also get quite distracted and they can be very slow to mature. They require a lot of patience and a hell of a lot of exercise. And to be honest with you guys, this goes for all of the breeds on this list. If you do get in with an experienced trainer who understands these dogs through and through, you pretty much would be sorted and you would be absolutely fine. But just take that with the utmost understanding that you need to be taking this into consideration from the very get-go. Don't be going and getting a dog like that and then considering a trainer later down the line. Be very proactive about it, because if it's too late, then you're gonna struggle. Irish Setters were bred to be on vast open ground for long periods of time. So don't be shocked if you struggle with things like settling and switching off and the inability for your dog to sit still. Remember, these dogs come with heaps of energy, but we can't neglect the brain as well. Common issues that I myself have personally experienced with working with lots and lots of Irish Setters is they have issues regarding recall. That's probably one of the most common things that people come to me with. They're just hyper focused and hyper fixated on everything else around them except their owner. Reactivity is also quite a common thing. I often find that their energy ends up going in the wrong areas and thus that breeds reactivity. And of course, like I've mentioned, the inability to settle. And like with the comment about the recall, they are quite slow to engage and it does take them quite some time to actively seek from the owner. So with all that being said, I'm going to rank the Irish Setter at number 9 for first-time dog owners. Next up, we have the Weimaraner. Looks like a supermodel, but behaves like a toddler that's had too much sugar. They are extremely high drive. With them being a HPR, they were bred to hunt, point, and retrieve. Meaning, if you are not tapping into that side of them, expect there to be some trouble along the way. They also have Velcro-like tendencies and struggle a hell of a lot with being left alone, which is quite ironic because if you then take that outside, more often what I tend to see is they're very independent and off doing their own thing. They bond intensely, which is absolutely fantastic until you need to leave the house. And then it's just like you don't exist. They need structure from day one because without it, they just become an absolute nightmare. Common issues that I tend to find is they have separation issues. They just do not like being left alone, and as a result of that, this then starts to present a hell of a lot of FOMO. They have obsessive tendencies, high arousal, and struggle to switch off. For a first-time owner, I probably would think very carefully before considering a Weimaraner. And with that being said, I'm going to put them at number 10. Next up, we have the flat-coated retriever. They're one of the most underrated breeds in the gundog world for good reason. They're enthusiastic and very joyful. They're people-orientated, but I often find they stay puppy brain for quite some time. They're kind of like a Labrador that never really grows up, which is endearing, but also can be very exhausting. Now, they are trainable, willing, and they absolutely love people, but their slow maturity can catch first-time dog owners off guard. And I find the common issues are excitability, slow to settle, easily distracted, and over-the-top greetings. Now, whilst they're a trainable breed, I often think that they get underlooked. One of the main reasons why the flat coat isn't all that popular is for exactly that, and not a lot of people actually know that they exist. So when people stumble across the flat-coated retriever, they often refer to it as a Labrador, and I would say that that is probably why a lot of people gravitate towards them. However, the reason why they're not all that common is because of the other side of them. So just take that into consideration if you are thinking about getting a flat-coated retriever. So for the flat coat, I'm going to rank them at number 7 for first-time dog owners. Next up is the all popular GSP, German short-haired pointer. One of the most capable dogs on the list, but also one of the most demanding. They are extremely high drive and they are built to work all day. They require serious physical and mental stimulation. In the right hands, they are incredible. In the wrong hands, though, they are a disaster. The GSP for first-time gun dog owners is a very steep learning curve. Their common issues can include reactivity, obsessive behaviors, particularly with wildlife, the inability to settle, and high arousal. And this is one of the biggest common misconceptions with the GSP. A lot of people gravitate towards them because they are very outdoorsy, potentially like to go for runs or biking and so on and so forth, which is great, absolutely fantastic, but all you are giving your dog there is physical outlets, physical exertion. If we're not tapping into this, that is where a lot of the problems lie. However, if you do live a lifestyle like that, but you can also tap into breed-specific fulfillment, that mental stimulation side of things, and you teach them to settle, I would probably say you are the perfect owner for a GSP. So with that, I'm going to put them at number 8. Now, it is time for our wild card. Drumroll, please. The Sprocker. Not a recognised breed, however, so many people own these, and a lot of you own them without even realising it as well. So here we are. If you didn't know, a Sprocker is the combination of a Springer Spaniel and a Cocker Spaniel combined together. They get the drive of both and the sensitivity of both as well. They can be absolutely fantastic, but they can also be a handful, and that completely comes down to the lineage. The problem with a Sprocker is you don't really know exactly what you're getting. The drive can go either way. For a first-time dog owner, a first-time gun dog owner, they are actually quite manageable, but you need to make sure that you do your research, not just on the breed, but the breeder as well. Take a real hard look at the lineage that is going into that dog. If you're seeing a lot of red, I probably would recommend that you run. And the common issues that I see with Sprockers is varying drive levels, can inherit worse traits of both breeds, and they do have a lot of obsessive tendencies. They're actually one of the most common dog breeds that I've worked with that have developed a significant amount of OCD. However, because they are a Spaniel, I do think that they are a great candidate for a first-time dog owner, as long as you understand what you are getting. So with that, I'm going to rank the Sprocker at number 6. Next up, we have the Golden Retriever. As you all would agree, the family dog of the gun dog world. They're gentle, people-orientated, forgiving of handling mistakes, and generally easy to train. Showline Golden Retrievers are one of the best options for first-time owners, full stop. But working line Goldens are a different dog. They have a higher drive, they're more intense, and they just need that little bit more. And the common issues that I see with working line Goldens is they have a hell of a lot of drive. This is just based off my personal experience experience with the many that I've worked over the years, but they actually can be quite aggressive, both to people and other dogs. They have obsessive tendencies, specifically resource guarding, and they can be very difficult to switch off. Overall though, they are a solid choice. My only recommendation is that you know the lineage that you are getting. So my ranking for the Golden Retriever is going to be number 5. The Cocker Spaniel, my absolute bread and butter. People orientated, intelligent, compact, and great adventure companions. They're a brilliant dog, but they are underestimated constantly. They aren't as easy as they look, and the drive is most certainly there. I often refer to them as Malinois, just shorter and with floppy ears. And they definitely have obsessive tendencies and for sure the inability to switch off. For a first-time owner, they are a fantastic and smashing little dog, but you have to take them seriously. Just because they're small and compact doesn't mean that they don't carry the same traits as the other larger breeds. Now, I'm going to give a little subtle nod to the show lines because they are significantly softer and easier to work with. However, they do still come with their issues such as their energy, and they can also be heavy resource guarders, so just be aware of that. The common issues with your cockers are obsessing over objects, cannot switch off, FOMO and codependency if independence isn't built. So my ranking for the Cocker Spaniel is number 4. Now we are into the top 3. These are the breeds that I genuinely would recommend to a first-time dog owner. And if you've seen our Instagram, you might know what's coming. So number 3, we have the Springer Spaniel, one of the most popular working dogs in the UK for good reason. They're high energy, highly trainable, incredibly willing, and absolutely love to work. They aren't the easiest, however. They do have drive. They've got opinions and they need a lot of structure, but they also are incredibly rewarding. They respond well to training and they do actually want to engage with you. For a first-time gundog owner that has done their homework and is committed, they are a fantastic choice. And I often find because they don't carry the same obsessive tendencies as the Cocker Spaniels, they are a fantastic candidate. But they do have a couple of common issues, which are recall in high distraction environments, reactivity if they are underfulfilled. They do have some obsessive tendencies, but they aren't as intense as our Cocker Spaniels. So because of that, I am going to put them in 3rd place. But let me tell you, it was a very, very close one. After owning both a Cocker and a Springer, the Springer just sits just above that Cocker. Number 2, we have the Vizsla. And if you've actually seen our Instagram, you'll know that I highly rate this breed. Now, even though they are a pointer, they are still highly sensitive and people orientated. They are highly trainable, but I would say they have a lot lower drive than, say, our Weimaraner or our GSPs. And I am sure you have all heard the term, but they are Velcro dogs. They want to be with you, and that makes them incredibly easy to engage with. They're very forgiving of handling mistakes, which makes that very suitable for a first-time dog owner. They do, however, like any dog, still need structure and still need fulfillment, but they are a hell of a lot more manageable than most HPRs. But they do have a couple of common issues. Because they are referred to as Velcro dogs, a lot of people do not teach them independence. So separation issues can stem from this. I find that they are quite sensitive to harsh handling and do need constant exercise. Even though they are a HPR, their soft nature makes them fantastic for a first-time dog owner. I'm going to be putting the Vizsla at number 2. And last up, we have our number 1 spot. I bet you can't guess what it is. The Labrador Retriever. There is a reason these are the most popular gundog breed in the UK, and no, it isn't actually because they are cute. I've had a lot of these come onto programs over the years, and they are fantastic to train. Working line labs are food motivated, trainable, forgiving, people orientated, and genuinely joyful to work with. They're not without their challenges though. They can be boisterous and they can be little land sharks as puppies, and they will try try and eat absolutely everything, and I mean everything. But for a first-time gundog owner, the Labrador gives you the best chance at success. Now, showline labs are even more manageable, and I do have to give them a nod for this. They're calmer, softer, and have way less drive. If you want the easiest gateway into gundog ownership, the showline Labrador is very hard to beat. And working line Labradors are still very manageable compared to other dogs on this list. The drive is there, but it is channeled well. Common issues I find with Labradors are their overexcitement, mouthiness as puppies, which can often translate into their adulthood, weight management, which is a super popular one, and they can be easily distracted by food, obviously. But the reason why I think the Labrador is the #1 slot is because of its trainability. They often say that a Labrador comes part trained, and I would honestly believe this. A lot of the ones that I've worked before in the past on various different programs, the outcome has been pretty much the same. For a first-time gundog owner, I probably would start here. So there it is. 10 gundog breeds with 1 wild card ranked for first-time gundog owners. Now, I'd love to know if there are any first-time gundog owners watching this video and what breed you have. I'd love to hear your experiences with that breed and if you've agreed with what I've said.